Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is TGP Today. I'm Taldax, and with me, the shout-out girl.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody.
Good whatever there is. Anyway, with me, I have a very special guest here. We've been trying to get him on the show, and it's virtually next to impossible. Everyone, Mr. Murray Richardson. Say hello, Murray.
I was watching the movie last night.
Yeah.
My name is Nobody, so I prefer that.
All right. What do you think about Mr. Nobody? Yes.
Well, don't you remember? Don't you remember the show?
Was that...
My name is Nobody, Terrence Hill.
Terrence Hill, okay.
Yeah. Well, you should know he's half Italian.
Oh,
and half
is he?
German, yeah.
Oh my goodness, you've
Good
put
cross,
me
eh?
you've put me on the spot, but yes, you're right.
Okay, do you remember the Trinity series?
the Trinity series? Okay, go ahead, tell me about it.
Well, it was just Italian spaghetti westerns.
Ah, that Trinity series.
Terrence Hill. Well, that's him now.
Well, show.
But that's him, him then and now.
Oh my goodness. Just to let you know, everyone, Murray is a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. He's very smart, and that's one of the reasons that I definitely wanted to have him on the show.
I deserve that slap. I don't even know why everybody thinks this or why you think so.
Well, you do a lot of reading, do you not? You're on the internet quite a bit, studying things. And
Well, you're a self-made millionaire.
you are, and he's a self-made millionaire.
But I thought everybody was a millionaire these days.
Yeah.
Are we all from Texas?
He
like the
went
song
from
says?
nothing to something. He's pretty incredible. One
Could
of the
we
things.
have kippers for breakfast?
We can.
Mommy dear, mommy dear. Gotta have them in Texas because everyone's a millionaire.
Yes.
Same as Vancouver these days.
Yeah, everyone is a millionaire. Question I was going to ask you, if it's okay for me to ask you, of course, is you remember past lives. Now, what's up with this? How do you all of a sudden, what did you do? Just wake up one day and you just remembered your past life?
Yeah, I woke up one day. It was a long time ago.
What do you remember? What do you remember? What's one of the
Well,
most vivid?
I woke up one day, as you said.
Yes, you woke up one day. Yes.
So it's not really any kind of revelation. So I was having a lot of deja vu, a lot, excessive amount.
Okay.
I don't know if everybody is familiar with deja. Some people aren't familiar with deja vu.
Well, tell us what it is.
Well, it's when you have that really strong feeling that you've been here before. Okay, like I don't have it now, but the point. Okay, so I'll get to the point here.
I think we've all had it. Every single one of us has had deja vu of some sort.
Yeah. So back, I don't know, I guess I was probably about 28, 27.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working on a movie set. I was used to do extra work and that kind of stuff, and I was trying to do acting back in the day. And I knew I'd been in this place before. I was like, I've been here before, and I knew I hadn't because I wasn't from Vancouver. So I was like, I know I haven't been here before, but I know I've been here before.
Right.
And this was happening a lot. And and I got to thinking that, maybe I've been living the same life over.
I know a lot of people who are like that. They have that same type of feeling. Sometimes I feel like that too. So definitely fascinating. What movie were you working on?
So I had I don't remember what it was, to be honest. It was a lot. I've been on over 300 movie sets and stuff like that. But anyway, so I had this agent, Rick Hano. Haven't seen him for a long time either. I wonder whatever happened to him. But he goes, I told him about it. And he goes, you should watch the movie Groundhog Day. So I watched it and I go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're saying. The guy's living the same day over. And I kind of just decided that this is what was happening. And when I accepted it, I'm trying to make I'm making a long story very, very short.
No, go ahead. We've got a whole 50 minutes.
I know, but what I'm doing is I'm making what should be a very long story very, very short. So
Okay.
basically I accepted that I had been living the life over, and I can tell you for a fact, I have not had deja vu once since.
Wow.
And that was just 30 years ago, not once. And I had it a lot before that. So whatever that triggered in my mind, whether it's real or not, or it just triggered something in my mind, it could show two things. It could show the power of the mind at the least, or it could be real. And maybe the Groundhog Day theory, but the Groundhog Day really wasn't meant to profess living the same life over. But what does is the Buddhists.
Right.
So the Buddhists do talk about it a lot. I'm not Buddhist. I'm not really. I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic, but I don't practice Catholicism anymore. What?
The Filipinos are going to love you for that. They're mostly Catholic too, so continue.
Yeah, well, and so but I'm not. But I did research. Somebody said to me after I talked about this past life thing, like, he goes, "You sound like a Buddhist." And I go, "What is that?" I didn't even know what he was talking about.
Right.
I mean, I knew what a Buddhist was, but I didn't know what he meant. I just thought it was some religion. So I started researching, and yeah, sure enough, I found out that they have this thing about living the same life over. It's they do know about it. They do talk about it anyway. Whether they actually can prove it's real or not, it's been an experienced phenomena by quite a few people. I don't know why it happened to me or why I remember or whatever, or if it's real or if it's just some kind of delusion. I don't know.
Well, I think it's quite fascinating, actually. I remember you discussing it with me 20 years ago when I just had a...
that was longer than 20 years ago.
Okay, 30, about 30
when
years.
we fell off the store, the chairs in the dinosaur age?
And then I asked, it was so funny because we were in my room, and I asked Murray about he brought up the thing about dinosaurs, and as soon as he brought that up, all of a sudden his chair falls and collapses right there, like, shut up, girl. His chair just went flattened right down, and he's like, whoa! And,
Oh my goodness.
And it's like the universe saying, we're not going to be talking about this at this moment. It's not going to happen. But you were going to tell me something about the dinosaurs. What were you going to say? Can you remember? Can you remember 30 years ago?
I didn't remember what I was talking about when I fell off the chair there, but that's a true story. I fell off, the chair broke, and I was like, wham! It was just, I don't remember what we were talking. That was actually a really good interview, actually.
It was fantastic. I know I have the interview somewhere.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good one. Then you had the one where I was playing the piano. Whatever happened to that?
I did a recording, I believe on my phone, a recording of Murray just going up to the piano and playing it, and playing the most mystical, eerie, almost Paganini-ish piano playing. It was it was fascinating. Anyway, he's a fascinating guy. So you said that not only can you remember the past or present, but you can remember the future. You remember points of the future.
That's more interesting. Now you're going to intertwine this with politics and social stuff of today, what's going on, because I have a lot of I had a lot of visions of what's going to happen in the future. Like, I've actually been there. I've had a lot of those. And they're not like dreams where you forget the dreams. I remember these very specifically. And the problem is, a lot of it's, I had at least 3 or 4 of them that were evolved around this vaccine program that they've been rolling out. I knew about all this way before. I experienced with memories like futuristic memories or something. But I have a bigger theory about all this.
Okay, will it happen again? Will that actually happen again?
I don't know what's going.
Vaccination.
I don't know what's going on, but something's going on, and it's not just the vaccines. There's some kind of this world we're living in isn't really what we've been told it is. That's what I believe.
Yeah,
and I believe that quite strongly.
I believe that too.
Yeah, there's something going on. It's scientific, whatever it is. They're experimenting, or maybe this thing they called the Great Reset is something they've been doing continually.
Right.
Yeah, I said it a long time ago, which would explain why you remember living before. And there's also the idea about cloning too.
Oh, okay.
Although that's just kind of a spice I threw on there because I really don't know. But I'm trying to grasp what stuff. Why do I have all these memories and these future visions?
Do you believe a lot of the things that are going on right now are a distraction to what's really going on? There's a lot of things
not
just keeping us away. Okay.
No, not specifically. I don't adhere to that too much. Of course, the powers that be use distraction methods for distracting people from things they obviously don't want you to look at they're doing so they aren't investigated thoroughly by the public. The public doesn't, unfortunately, have all the power. We just don't. I mean, we call this a democracy, but I mean, really, the oligarchy or the ruling class has all the power.
Absolutely.
Whether we like it or not. And I mean, I don't know what you can do about it. I hear these guys talk, and you hear they call them right-wing conspiracy theorists, which is just a nonsense term. But
yeah,
they call these conspiracy theory people. They're always talking about how what you were just talking about.
Right.
Distractions and all that stuff from from these ruling class being investigated. But what can you really do about it? And this has always been this way.
Right. So is the future something we want to look forward to, or is it like sort of like a Nostradamus kind of thing?
Is a very, very, very good. That is the best question you could possibly ask. Is it a good future?
Yeah.
Well, it's good if you're the ruling class, and if you're not, it might be mediocre and bad at, it might be mediocre at best, and at worst, it might be worse than it's ever been. So who's to say?
Absolutely.
Who's to say?
We keep hearing that statement over and over again. The future is bright. Everything is great. And in reality, things are not great. When I don't even look at the mainstream media anymore, because what we're being fed is absolute nonsense. None of it. Under any circumstances is real.
Are you going to none of it anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm hoping. But you mentioned a war coming.
Let me think about that for a minute, because I haven't been in tune with this conversation for a while.
So what?
There's I had a lot of visions, like a lot of stuff. Like, okay, one of the visions I had, and I can prove to you I had it before. There was an article just came out about BlackRock, the big investment company that's behind a lot of this stuff that's going on.
Okay.
Most of the I call them the ruling class. I don't like the word Illuminati, and I don't like a few of the other words like globalists and stuff. I just call them the ruling class. The ruling class own most. You could probably buy shares in BlackRock. I've never looked into it, but they own it, right? And they own all this stuff that's going on, this vaccine program, the genetic engineering, all that stuff. They own all that,
right?
And they're doing it. I mean, you got to be a fool if you don't think that they're doing genetic experiments and stuff like that in offshore companies where they can do it legally and they haven't been cloning people. You're kind of being a little bit naive, to be honest. That's my honest opinion. You call me a conspiracy theorist, I say you're naive. So, or not you specifically.
No, I mean,
person doesn't believe it.
Well, to every conspiracy theory or every fable or every legend, there's some truth that's hidden beneath that. It has to come from somewhere.
Yeah. So I basically, what was the question again? We were talking. Oh yeah. So, I mean, so me and Valentine, right?
Yeah, I do.
He's probably dying, just so you know. But he is dying. We're all dying, but he's not doing very well. But anyway, he when he had his open heart surgery, I told him about this vision I had, where I had this. It was really strong vision where I was in this really lightweight armor, and I couldn't control myself. Somebody was like controlling me like a robot. I had feelings, but I couldn't, and I couldn't feel pain.
Like an Iron Man uniform.
It was kind of like that, but I wasn't in control. It was like somebody had installed a chip in my brain. I woke up and I was like, and I was in this armor, and it was really lightweight and it was really strong. And and I was like a Terminator. I'm not joking. It was just like that, except I was a person, but I was definitely dead. And I didn't know how they were controlling me. I didn't think of a chip. And then I told Valentine about it one time. Mm-hmm. And Valentine goes, I had the exact same thing when I was in the hospital, delirious from this medication he was taking.
Right.
So when he had his open heart surgery, whatever the meds they have you on, you're coming out of it or whatever.
That was the one in Vancouver General Hospital, right?
And I was under once, and maybe that's when I had the vision. I honestly don't know when I had this vision, because it's not a dream, because you forget your dreams. I don't forget this.
So what was the vision? What exactly were we being told?
I was this lightweight armor. I wasn't in control. Somebody was controlling me. It was like an army. It was like this. It was a secret black ops thing or something. That's what it was like. And I didn't. And I told Val this years ago, and then Val confided in me that he had the same kind of, almost identical. Michelle was creeped out by it. So if you don't believe me, you can ask Michelle.
Oh, I totally do.
And then just 2 days ago, I saw that BlackRock has now installed 50 chips in 50 different people's brains. I don't know who those people are, but apparently it's true. It's not a theory; it's a fact.
Well, eventually something like that's going to happen.
Well, Elon Musk has been talking about it. He said he wanted to do that as well. So. Installing chips in people's brains to make them function better is one thing, but to turn them into a robot so you can use them for,
that would be fascinating. That would be, not fascinating in the way I'd want to be that way, but it would be fascinating in the way that they actually have the technology. They're doing that. It's amazing how the world has gone completely off. It's gone from a moralist, spiritual time to a non-moralist, crazy time with all this stuff that's going on with gender transformation, with vaccines, with this and
Because
that,
that's how
gun
they
control,
hijacked.
and
That's how they hijacked the cause. If you understand what I'm saying, like
Okay.
all these people. I'm not saying that I'm on any side. I always call myself a middle guy.
Right.
I always. And nobody likes that when people take the middle.
You're in the pursuit of truth, right?
Yeah, that's more like it. But they think you're condoning one side or the other. What I'm saying is that they hijacked the granola or the grassroots, the green movement. I don't remember what you call it, the hippie movement. They hijacked it, and now they've turned it into what they wanted it into by very, very intelligent, media presentation. They basically hijacked what they call the left,
Okay.
and turned them into right.
Oh, wow.
Very effectively too, and people don't even realize it. They don't even see it, and that's how good they were at it. Because now you've got all these leftists believing that these oligarchs are left wingers. Well, they're not.
Wow.
They're not. You're talking about pure imperialism, absolute pure imperialism. How is that left wing? There is no such thing as left wing imperialism. It is the most right wing that you can get, and you better believe that. It isn't left wing. It isn't socialist at all. It's the worst kind of communism, in fact, because what happens is, and Karl Marx did actually talk about this, although I didn't read it myself, to be fair. I'm not going to lie and say I read it, but I read somebody else that said they had read this. So what it was is that supposedly what it is that the oligarchs become the imperialists. Well, they are imperialists. They own up everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then they control the media to convince you that, this is socialism. It's a socialist. We're socialists, but they're not. There's no democracy. None at all. Only sort of a kind of a democracy. They call it democracy for the union that's the public, and the public are slaves to these oligarchs.
So we're becoming imperialistic again. We're becoming like another feudalist Japan.
It's not even feudalist. It's beyond that. Feudalism might be better, actually. Feudalism isn't good either, but it might be slightly better. But no, this is a little bit different. It's a form of communism that isn't democratic. Like, okay, let me put it this way. I'll put it simple.
Sure.
Let's say you have to have communism. There's no way around it.
Right.
Okay, let's say that it's going to happen no matter what. Well, the best kind of communism would arguably be democratic communism.
Right.
Now, I don't like the word socialism. It's just forget that term. For me, I know people go, "Oh, you're crazy. Socialism is different." I go, "Okay, whatever." But we'll just call it pure socialism is kind of communism.
Yeah.
The government owns everything.
Pretty much, yeah, they do.
But in this case, it would be the imperialists owning everything, and there's no democracy in that kind of communism.
So it's not by the people; it's just one person or a group of people that are
small
just
group of
running
people own
everything.
Well, they don't.
Well, eventually that's going to happen.
They own everything, but they don't necessarily directly run it. But the point is, there's no democracy, and that's a bad. I mean, if you're going to have communism, you probably want democratic communism.
Did you ever really think there was democracy with all the corruption that's going on?
No, not really.
Yeah.
When they killed Kennedy, I think that was enough to prove to everybody that there was no real democracy.
That was a big slap in the face. Yeah. And the other thing that turned me over when 911 happened, I remember that day. I was at home, and my mom's like, "What's going on?" And first thing that came out of my mouth was, "It's the end of our freedom. Our freedoms are gone. They're going to be one day at a time. It's going to go so slowly. No one's going to notice it. And by the time anyone does notice it, it's absolutely too late."
Yeah, well, I'm no engineer, but the first thing that I said was, as soon as I saw the building fall, I go, they demolitioned it already? I said, somebody put bombs in the building, because there's no way the planes could do that in my mind anyway.
Yeah, there's no way.
But I'm not an engineer. I'm not a physicist. But to me, there was no way a bit of aluminum with a little bit of diesel fuel or jet fuel, which is like diesel fuel, could bring down a solid cement building, especially burning over 3/4 of the way up the building. How could it happen? The NIST reports are nonsense. You got 4,000 engineers and architects saying it's impossible. 4,000 of them. So I'm sorry, I'm not siding.
Yeah, but they don't know what they're talking about, right?
They don't know anything.
Yeah, they're retarded. Shadow Girl, what do you think? That the architects are retarded? They don't know what they're talking about, apparently?
Well, when I was in Saudi Arabia, when that thing happened, everybody are so scared about what will gonna happen to Muslim world.
That too.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was an open door for everything.
The guy that built the building said it can't happen. He said the only way it could happen is if you put bombs in the elevator shafts. That's it. There's no other way. He built it. This guy built it. Okay, so I'll give you the one caveat to that.
Is he still around?
He built it specific. Yeah, he is. He's in Europe. He's specifically built it. He specifically built it to withstand the force of a 737 hitting it, not a I believe it was a 767 that hit it.
Yeah.
But they're not that much bigger, and it still wouldn't have felled it.
Well,
he
what a
said.
coincidence, eh?
There's more. So about a month before, the whole building was empty because they couldn't they couldn't use the elevators because there was an Israeli team in the elevators fixing the elevators. So here you have the guy. Okay, so this is all true. You can verify it. By the way,
I believe you.
I'm not lying, and I'm telling you. So you can verify.
Well, give us all the links. Send us all the links.
Well, I don't
and then
have
we'll
them handy, but I have to look it up. It's years ago. I'm just giving you information that I studied years ago. But here's the thing. So you could. Here's what happened. You got this company going in there fixing the elevators, and you got the very guy that said the only way you could bring those buildings down is to put thermite
explosives.
Explosives in the elevator shafts. And the way they came down, and that's how you'd have to do it. And they were there, so you have that, and then you also have all the thermite, not just regular thermite. Like you can make thermite, you can make it, right? But it's not hard to make. Apparently, I've never made it, but apparently it's quite simple. Thermate specifically, but it'll melt steel. That's the only way you can bring the building out. You got to melt those girders really fast.
It's like turning spaghetti, boiling spaghetti, which is hard, and making it noodle-like, and then it just crumbles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so they took out the bottom and it fell. But the thing is that they did find nanothermite in all the buildings across the way, because when it blew out, when all that pyroclastic dust and all that crap, or whatever you want to call it, blew out, it got on everything. So they collected it. They've got it. The evidence is 100%. It was demolition.
So what do you? Okay, so they do this. The Arab countries in the world are worried about this. So basically, they were just opening up an excuse to do whatever they want.
Well, it was they wanted to put in the Patriot Act, and they wanted an excuse to go into Iraq. They wanted a whole bunch of things. They want to take away rights because they figure the public has too many rights. And the one big thing was the guy who bought the building. Yeah. So Larry Silverstein bought the building, a few months before, and it was the only time in history that anybody had taken out not just one but two.
Two towers.
No. He had taken out two policies. Two insurance policies that said that if you had not just one but two acts of terrorism to your buildings, that you would get double the pay. So the buildings were worth about, as they stood, who knows? He only paid a few $100 million for them, because they've been losing money since the day they were built. They were a white elephant. Yeah, and not only that, they were full of asbestos. So when he bought them...
You got to be kidding me.
And he was supposed to remediate them. So when he bought them, part of the deal was that he would remediate them. So you know how much the remediation cost was back in 2000?
Lots of money.
Take a guess.
Probably in the billion range.
It was $1 billion. That was
God.
Yeah. So they would have to spend $1 billion to take out the asbestos out of the buildings, and he was supposed to do that when he bought them. It was part of the deal.
How
and he
convenient.
didn't have the money.
Yeah.
So, but it gets better. So, that's base. Yeah. So there's more to it, but I can't really remember all of it right off the top of my head. But that is basically it. So you've got this building, so when the planes hit, not one but two hit, so now you have the double insurance payout. Right. So Sun Life and all these companies that were the insurers, they fought it. They got him down from, I think it was $8 billion down to $6.5 billion. So he was supposed. Yeah. So he was supposed to get $8. Yeah. So he was supposed to get $4 billion for one act of terrorism, but there was two. So he was supposed to get $8 billion, but they fought it and they got it down to $6.5 billion.
So Murray, it looks like you and I are in the wrong business. We should be in real estate. Don't you think?
Yeah. They call him Lucky Larry.
My God, that's just crazy. There's other conspiracy theories that say that the tower was some sort of transmission thing, interdimensional transmission. Did you hear about that
one?
Yeah, that the towers were some sort of interdimensional transmission things, and and they wanted to destroy it or whatever. I mean, there's so many theories. Okay, going back to your future lives, you remember going into space. We were in space, you were saying. Is that sort of like Mars you're talking about? What are you talking about?
Oh, I don't want to talk about that one right now.
Very disturbing.
Well, I haven't thought about these things for a long time, and it's just personal stuff. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
Stuff.
Okay. Well, you know me. I have to dig.
Well, that space one. There's a few of them. Yeah. Okay. So there were some things I remember about being in like a spaceship of some sorts.
Yeah.
And all I can tell you wasn't very good. It wasn't good.
Yeah, you were mentioning that
Yeah, it wasn't
life in that period was not great.
Not great.
Yeah. You also remember. You said you also remember running, and I was a military general. Do you remember that? You were running, and then I said, "Here, come on in here, quickly, right?"
I don't remember that.
And then I rescued. Yeah, you mentioned that too. Do you don't remember that at all?
Losing
I'm
my
not
memory.
making this up. Or
I believe
am
you.
I?
I believe you. I just don't remember.
So, what are you doing? What are you doing now with your life? What's going on? Are you going to write some sort of book at some point? You were mentioning maybe writing a book. Are you going to go ahead and?
I was talking about that today to Michelle.
Yeah.
But-
What would the book be on?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You haven't decided.
Nah.
Shout out, girl. Tell us something new. Anything. Tell us anything.
I miss Uncle Murray.
We miss you too. So, you're from Saskatchewan originally, right?
Don't tell anybody.
Okay, I won't. We're not going to mention that he's from Saskatchewan. What makes Saskatchewan a unique province compared to any other province in Canada and throughout the whole union? Tell me about it. What is it?
I don't know. I don't think about it.
And you call yourself a Saskatchewan? Like, what the heck?
I don't know, Rob. What do you want me to say about it? It's less population. It's lower cost of living.
Okay. Another thing,
You can buy a whole house out there for under $300,000.
that's crazy. How big would the house be?
Well, you could probably buy a pretty nice house there for $300,000.
Do you own any property? No, I'm not going to ask that question. I'm just
I
teasing.
don't.
What do you think of, some people have said that making marijuana legal in this country is a distraction for other things that are going on. Do you find that correlation at all? Do you find that to be true at all, or do you find it just
Well,
coincidence?
marijuana legalization doesn't make any difference in my life personally, since I don't smoke it and I don't sell it. So.
No, I know, but for a lot of
Well,
those,
my point was,
Yeah.
though, is that it wouldn't have been really a distraction because of that. But I think there's a lot of things that, like I said, it's part of that sort of right-wing hijacking of the left wing. You know, it's part of that. It's like, marijuana was always considered a hippie, left-wing hippie thing, right?
right?
But they basically. So in that way, I'm kind of agreeing with you, because I'm saying, like, here you got our prime minister saying, yeah, I'm going to legalize it, and he kind of did, right?
Yeah.
And then, but then you've got him, calling the truckers deplorables, basically, like Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton did.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to talk about. So I
Please,
wanted to
go
bring up this thing about what I see going on with the leadership. Like, I don't care about the politics, because you know what? Everybody thinks that there's a big change going on. Tell you, the only thing that's changed in politics is the technology. But people haven't changed much in the last, 5 or so thousand years.
How so?
Well, they haven't. We're still much the same. Like, just that technology's changed. So you still have this ruling class, and you still have and anyway. But that's not what I want to talk about.
Okay.
What I'm trying to get at here is and I'm not, and this isn't to be cliche or something, but I've been studying Dale Carnegie about, because I need to improve myself. So I'm reading this Dale Carnegie thing, and I'm trying to do it. It's not easy. And a couple things came up, and one of them was, why is it so damn hard to behave the way Dale says? It's hard.
It is very difficult.
Why? And I thought, you know why? Because people have, and I have, and I'm just going to say myself, I can't speak for anybody else, but I have deep resentments and stuff like that, and bitterness. So, that's why. But the thing is, Dale does talk about that. Okay, he does really cover all of it. So you got to kind of really listen to it. But a lot of it's just practice, right? It's lack of practice. You got to give up on those things, because you can't really punish everybody. You're not going to get everybody back. It's not going to happen. So that you think that you, and even getting people back, maybe they don't even deserve it. Sometimes, your perception of things or my perception isn't always the truth, right? It's just my perception,
Yeah.
But what I really wanted to say was that part. But the other thing that it made me think about revisiting Dale Carnegie was How to Win Friends and Influence People, was how does it apply? This is the interesting part.
Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about this.
No, nobody does.
Alex Jones even doesn't talk about it. Tucker Carlson never
So
talks about it.
how does it apply?
Well, this is what they should be talking about. You really want to change the world? Well, what happened to Dale Carnegie? Where the hell did he go? I know he died. That's not what I mean.
I have no idea.
But that's not what I mean. I mean, what happened to that way of living and that way of being, the way of acting, being a statesman and a real diplomatic person? You know, whatever happened to that? Where is it?
That went out the door.
Right, it went out there.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to say this because I know people think, oh, you like Donald Trump. I never actually cared for Donald Trump personally. I didn't even really know much about him, to be honest, until he got that show. And I just thought, he's a little bit of a bully. But but I thought he was a pretty good president, and most people didn't.
Well, he can't be bought.
So I thought he was a pretty good president, but my point wasn't to discuss politics. But why I'm laying this groundwork about Trump and how I feel about him is I never really cared for him. Michelle actually liked him. She liked watching the show. I was like, I thought it was funny because she's Asian, right? So I was thinking, well, why the hell does she like Donald Trump? And anyway, so I liked him as a president, but as a person, I can see why people didn't like him. But I didn't agree that he deserved all the vitriol he got. However, that said, if you take Donald Trump and put him beside the way Dale Carnegie said, he sinned a lot based on Dale Carnegie. What is a sin? What Dale Carnegie considers a sin. I don't mean religious
No, I know what you
sin.
mean. Yeah.
So here you got these world leaders, and then you got Hillary Clinton calling the half of the voting population in the states deplorables. Well, that's totally against anything Dale Carnegie would say to do. It's absolutely against what he tells us.
JT did it too. He did the same thing.
That's what I was going to say. And Justin Trudeau calling the truckers, he said, because they don't agree with the vaccines, they're racist and misogynist, and they lied too about.
And now
how
he's
bad.
retracting from it. Like he didn't force anybody. He didn't say anything bad. You know, he's full of it.
Yeah, he's full of it. Well, he got him on videos calling them. He didn't call them deplorables, but I like to use the term. Hillary Clinton called everybody deplorables. So what I'm getting at is now you have this thing, but I'm not here to do the same thing that they did. I'm not here to call anybody down. I am criticizing them a little bit.
We're allowed to so far.
Right, but Dale says you shouldn't even do that. But we're not directly criticizing them. Okay, here we're just using them as an example that our statesmen are not acting correctly. And neither is the media. The media is doing the same thing. They are doing the opposite of what Dale Carnegie says. Now, I believe in Dale Carnegie. I think he's absolutely right. It isn't easy to behave that way because we aren't. And now our whole society from the top down is acting like a bunch of immature, socially inept people. And it's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, you hit it right on the nail. I mean, it's just gone. It's gone in the toilet, and it's just being ready to be flushed down.
That's what I was talking about this morning when you asked about writing the book. That's what I was talking to Michelle about, was writing a book, something about that and a few other things, because nobody's talking about that, and that's what they should be talking about.
Well, I definitely think we should be talking about that. I mean, we're just ignoring it, and the more and more we ignore it and we don't get involved with it, the more stupid it becomes. Look how crazy things have become right now, just with transgenderism. We're forced to believe something that's not real.
And here you have the influence thing again. Okay, this is what Dale talks about. So let's apply this to that. So you have the right wingers getting pissed off about it. I call them the right because it's simple to understand. You get but they're not handling it correctly either, because they're insulting these people that believe in that. So now I'm not siding with any of them.
No.
What I'm saying is, if somebody wants to influence somebody else, neither of them are doing it correctly again, you see.
Right.
So, this is the problem. Everybody just wants to push their way too hard.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to actually take the time out to be diplomatic, because it takes patience.
Nobody listens.
It takes patience.
That's right. Nobody listens. Here we've got a group of people, and they are a minority. They're not a majority. They're a minority of people forcing things down our throats, okay? Forcing us to learn this and to do this and behave like this. But if we don't meet their specifications of how things are, they have no tolerance towards us. Zero.
Yeah.
So what you're saying here, if I'm hearing you right, is the only way to set an example is through, the only way to set a precedent is through example. That's the only way to do it. So if you want somebody to talk to you in a civil way, you should act civil towards them. Is that correct?
Well, yes. In a nutshell. Yeah.
Right. So that's what David...
Well, I'm not a Dale Carnegie expert, but I think I did send you that break. You probably didn't look at it, but let me just hold on a second.
No, I did look at a few things, believe it or not. But I believe, okay, myself, I believe in the golden rule. If you want to be treated with respect, you should treat other people with respect. I mean, is that not the, for us, the Catholic
Could
way?
I read this quickly?
Please, of course.
It's going to be like, it's going to take 1 minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is in a summary, and I'm going to read it just fairly quickly.
Okay.
This is Dale Carnegie summarized in his book.
Okay.
Techniques in handling people. Number 1, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Number 2, give honest and sincere appreciation. Number 3, arouse in the other person an eager want. 6 ways to make people like you. Number 1, become genuinely interested in other people. Number 2, smile. Number 3, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language.
Isn't that the truth?
Number 4, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Number 5, talk in terms of the other person's interests. Number 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely.
Wow. That is absolutely fantastic.
Win people to your way of thinking. Number 1, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it.
Oh, I love that.
Number 2, show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say, you're wrong.
Absolutely.
Number 3, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Number 4, begin in a friendly way. Number 5,
Amen.
5, get the other person saying yes, yes immediately.
I like that.
Number 6, let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Number 7, let the other person feel the idea as his or hers. Number 8, try honestly to see the things from the other person's point of view. Number 9, be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires.
Learn this, people. Learn this.
Number 10, appeal to the nobler motives. Number 11, dramatize your ideas. Number 12, throw down a challenge. So there's more. There's a little bit more I can read on.
But we get the general
Yeah, you
idea.
get
So
the
we'll
basic
put
idea.
a link there. We'll put a link.
Yeah, I can throw that link out.
Absolutely. So
I didn't want to go on about it, but I mean, I
No,
can
I
read the
think-
whole thing. But
I think it's
That's very important. Yeah,
Murray, I
that's
think it's
most
absolutely
people-
fascinating.
That's most people forgot.
that's what I think. And I don't see it practiced a lot, but I find that I'm thinking to myself more, like about myself. Like I'm not excited about the way that I behave sometimes. It's not so much other people, it's me. Because Dale talks about that. He said, if you can do what he says, very few people can. And if you can do it,
Yeah.
then you can be a leader. Because you're able to influence people by basically being nice to them.
Well, you make people feel good about themselves.
Make
When they
them
feel good about themselves, they'll do almost anything that you want them to do,
Yeah.
believe it or
And
not.
you got to do it sincerely, according to Dale, because insincere flattery, he talks about that a lot in his book. It doesn't really work. It can too, but it's
Okay, give me an example of insincere flattery. What do you mean by that?
I mean, you give somebody a compliment that they don't even deserve per se.
Okay, that makes
like
makes
if
sense.
somebody has good hair and you tell them they got good hair, that's a sincere compliment. It's flattery, but it's also true.
Right.
And but if you say to somebody that doesn't have good hair, oh, your hair looked good today, even though it doesn't, it depends though, because it really matters more about where it's coming from than whether it's true or not.
Or it may be sarcastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert in this, and I'd have to brush up again.
You should be
like I
using
said.
Redken products, not Rayjak.
I do. I like
Right.
Redken actually.
I love Redken.
Could I have a little bit more water?
Of course.
I absolutely love Redken. Oh my God, I used to sell Redken in my mom's salon.
So say Redken backwards.
Okay, what is it?
Nectar.
No, Redken. Oh wow,
It is. It's nectar backwards. Isn't that funny?
that's weird. Well, it is. In my opinion, it is
Thanks, Maria.
hair nectar. So, shout out, girl.
So
Not
should we
only,
do it like Joe Rogan and take some mushrooms and smoke some weed? Drop some acid.
you know what? Next, let's
Then
do
we'll
that.
really have some visions.
I see a future. Without JT. Right, kids.
Yeah.
But to conclude, to sum up your life so far, everything that you've gone through with your life, how would you sum it up right now as a man? I take it you're in your 50 pluses.
Were you trying to insult me now? Didn't you read that Dale Carnegie thing I sent you?
All right.
No, I'm 57. Well, I was born in 65. But anyway, No, my life, so I can't complain. Nothing to complain about.
Do you feel like you've done everything that you want to do, or do you feel that there's
Always more, but
to
you know,
explore?
as you get older, you know, your energy levels drop off a little bit. It's not like you have the energy of an 18-year-old anymore.
You have the brain of an 18-year-old. There's a lot of things you want to do, but the rest of your body doesn't follow with the brain part.
Perhaps,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I get that quite a bit. Don't I, everybody? Yes, thank you.
And then the allergy season now, you know.
Oh my God.
Vancouver in the allergy season.
Have you? Okay, let me ask people here. Have you found that you've always had your allergies?
I didn't have them in Saskatchewan, and I didn't have them in Mexico when we were there. And Michelle notices the same thing. When we come here, everybody's got them.
Right, and do you find like your bones ache more, like you have arthritis or anything like that? Nothing.
Arthritis, no.
How's it about you, Shadow Girl? Do you find you have more allergies here compared to the Philippines?
Well, I developed that allergy here in Canada.
It's
But every
BC.
time-
If you go to
yes.
Saskatchewan or Alberta or anywhere but here, you won't have them.
Well,
It's here.
Murray's got to take us in. You know, he's got to take us out there. I had the privilege to go with Murray to
At
Saskatchewan
190 kilometers an hour.
at 190 kilometers an hour.
You naughty boy.
Maybe it's fiction, government people. But with all due respect, no, Saskatchewan was really nice. It was like being in a whole new world. Why would you want to come here? Why the hell did you come here? It's such a nice place, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's a long story. That's a long story.
No, seriously. Like, you know, this place is, it's a great place to make money, but you're constantly under stress. Do you remember a moment that you were not under stress living in BC? You can tell me. I'm a doctor. Not.
Thinking about it. Of course, yeah, I get your point. It's a big city, you know, and you have a lot of, you know, the expenses are higher and whatnot, but the opportunities are higher. You know, it's a different place. You know,
Have you found that the higher interest rates have affected you at all without giving me
Sure.
any numbers?
Sure, a little bit, but nothing that I would, you know, I couldn't handle. It wasn't a big deal.
Okay. So it depends on how much intake you're making, and then I guess a lot of people.
Well, I don't have any personal loans or anything owing. I don't have anything like that. So
No, that's good.
I don't owe any money.
Well, you owe me
So
a
it
couple
doesn't-
bucks.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I don't know anything so personally, so I'm good.
Well, Murray, thanks a mil for coming on to the show.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, you know, I don't want to talk
blows.
to you anymore. You kind of suck. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. What else do you want to talk about? Anything else? We've got a whole 2 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Is there anything else you'd like to?
Well, we covered what?
We've covered future life experiences, 9/11, the left influencing the right,
And the right influencing the left.
the right influencing the left, and right. I don't care.
Well, you can cut it off if you want. We don't have to talk anymore. We're good.
Really? You still talk to me later?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right.
Think about it.
All right, everybody.
Do you want me to sing closing time or?
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world today. You've been listening to TGP Today.